I would like to actually start with thank yous. Thank yous to the MacArthur Foundation, Julie Stash, to Lori Garducki, to the CJJ, Coalition for Juvenile Justice, Nancy Gannon-Hornberger, I have to think for a moment, and all the others that are in the room with us today that have been fighting this good fight, and all that took some time and energy to put all of this together and put it on, because it's been absolutely phenomenal to this point, and it's only going to get better. When I think about the Models for Change 6th Annual National Working Conference, what comes to my mind is not only hard work, but individuals that do the work. And the panel that I'm about to introduce, they have been not only on the forefront, on the front line for some time, but they have also taken the dive. They've actually taken a challenge on in order to make change. And if you recall yesterday, Arthur Bryant, he made the statement that with change always comes challenges. And you see Models for Change and all of the time and the work that we've put into what it is that we continue to do. So we know that there are always challenges associated with change, but that's a good thing. But it's not always easy. So what you're going to hear from each of these panelists, and I'm going to give you just a bit of information about each of them, and please take a moment to read, in detail their bios. But what you're going to hear from them is pearls of wisdom, jewels, but also hard work and sweat from an individual perspective that hopefully will flow into a continued and ongoing sustainable movement. So with that, I will introduce each one of the panelists. To my left, I have Deborah Fowler, the Deputy Director of Texas Appleseed. I'm just going to read just the very beginning, so I'm going to want you to do a little bit of work also and continue reading about each of them. She oversees Texas Appleseed's legal team, coordinating legal efforts on juvenile justice, foster care reform, mental health and mental retardation, the school-to-prison pipeline, parent involvement in schools, and disaster relief. And Deborah is the primary author of Texas Appleseed's Handbook for Defendants with Mental Retardation and the School-to-Prison Pipeline reports. Moving on, we have the Honorable Jerry Madden. And he's chuckling because we all know, if you don't know Jerry, you're about to find out. You're about to find out and meet the real Jerry Madden. And I say that with not only esteem, but just a lot of heart because of who Chairman is and what he's been able to accomplish, of course with the help of many others. But just briefly, Texas State Representative and Chairman Jerry Madden, serving the Texas House District 67 in his 10th term, is currently Chairman of the House Committee on Corrections, as well as a member on redistricting committees, judiciary, and civil jurisprudence committees, and I can go on and on and on. And as we continue to move on, an individual that I was very impressed as I was reading your bio, eyebrows raised, Jeff Jacobson from the state of Ohio. Jeff Jacobson is the president of Strategic Insight Group Limited, a consulting and governmental relations firm serving private, public, and not-for-profit clients interested in impacting public policy, development, and state governmental decision-making in Ohio. And I know that the former state senator will be able to bring you up to date with a lot of what he's been able to accomplish, not only as a former elected, but following that. And last but certainly not least, we have Gabriella Celeste. And Gabriella Celeste is the Director of Child Policy at Case Western Reserve University Schubert Center for Child Studies. She works with fellow staff to identify and implement strategies which bridge child-related research, education policy, and practice, and to enhance community partnerships, which is so very important for anyone that knows my work. I know the community is key. Partnerships that promote effective public policy and practice for the well-being of children. And Ms. Celeste also teaches child policy curriculum and supervises Schubert's child policy externship program. We've done the introductions. Now for the topic. The topic, and I don't have a teleprompter, but I do have my trusty little notebook here. So forgive me for looking for a moment, but I want to make sure that I don't leave off anything, because this is huge. We are turning a corner. The topic that each of our panelists will be discussing is making the most out of state policy advances and opportunities. And for me, advances is key in order to fuel our work and our worth and our value, that we know what we're doing is making a difference. So we'll hear about the advances and also opportunities. As a state legislator in the state of Kansas, I know about budget shortfalls. So and I do feel bad because I have not turned this direction at all. So I'm going to move my chair and look this way for a moment. As we really look forward into what's coming, we have to recognize that we have been through some really difficult times in our states, from, coast to coast, Alaska to Texas, the whole gamut. Each of us have experienced, and some will say because of the national downturn in the economy, and there are other factors that are involved, but each of our states have had to do and deal with budget shortfalls. And I don't know about you, but budgets are all about priorities. But the question is, whose priorities? Who's in power priorities, and the interest groups that are always coming forward. So not only have we had some issues with budget shortfalls, but we've had landslide changes in the partisan makeup of different bodies, too. Not at the state level, and certainly in Congress. And so with changes in partisan majority bodies comes changes in thinking and policy. So I think that's where, and I'd love for the panel, and we will get to that point, but I think that's where there's opportunity to look to see how it is we can do this differently so that we can continue and sustain the good work that MFC and all of you have continued to do. So I am going to, if we'll keep our comments to about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit more. Chairman, maybe, maybe a little bit.
You're in charge here, dear. You get to be the one that says that's enough.
I'll be able to do it, and so that we can spend and save about 20 minutes at least for audience participation and questions from the audience. My first question actually is for Gabriella.